sinking in the hollow ground. Nothing can stop me wanting you somehow. I won't let it die. I can feel you when you're not around. When the night gets cold, I won't be alone. We won't be I won't let it die. I can feel you when you're not around. When the night gets cold, we won't be alone.
Why intensely sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Barbizzel FTF Cup Series.
Into the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag.
Here comes Vargas down on the apron. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordan Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they're going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas. Oh, get your front gear.
He's got it. He's got it. Get there. No.
Canvas is going to win.
Tonight, the best of the best when it comes to SimCar and the Penguin RC Simulation Grand Am Series. Head to the French countryside for its first endurance round of the 2023 campaign to see which drivers can handle themselves around this circuit for the next hour and a half of action. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth for tonight's race is Liam Sheen with Zach Johnson in the producer's seat as we get ready to go racing 27 cars, all ready to see how they can make it 8.47 miles per lap, Liam, for the first endurance round of the year.
Yeah, we have an hour, 30-minute race here tonight. We have a random yellow that's going to be coming out midway through the race at any time, either from an incident or just at the discretion of Blake Reynolds. So we'll see how these drivers handle this track tonight. Very long straightaways, very tricky corners, easy to get an off track here. We'll see how these drivers tackle it.
The drivers already completing qualifying for tonight's round. We'll get into the details of how things have gone so far entering the endurance round in just a few moments. But for the drivers in qualifying, grand total of 27 took times throughout the session, all looking to see how they fare out tonight in what is a double to the normal feature race of the sprint round format, or rather sprint and feature round format in the season. Sam Adams and Flint Lazier, the teammates, start off on the front row today. Sam Adams leading the way in the overall points. Blake Reynolds starts in row 2 alongside Nate Stewart amongst the prototypes. Brian Steinhoff looking to try and keep things clean after bad luck for his whole organization last time out. Chris Sweat started off the session for the first time. He finished 6th in the said session. Dustin Lee Wilson just below the top 8. Of note, Robert Lowry will start 9th in the lineup. He did not put up a time in qualifying. That means 10th overall in the grid. Around that mark, Christian Youngwall and Lance Nazir, the top times from the GT cars, Liam.
And I'm back to 11th. It's John in the 37 car alongside Kevin Fanning in the 441, Joshua Filia in the 027 alongside Matt A. Kingsbury, Trevor Greenfield in the 00 of Wang, and then Brian Sohn, Cody Cosgrove, Matthew Johnston, Gary Freeman Jr. round up through 20th.
21st tonight, Tim Brokaw, Josh Ondo in 22nd. As mentioned, Lowry moving up the queue to join the rest of the prototypes. Ray Kingsbury, Brandon Lambert in the Monster Race Control tonight. R1 Mofta and Daniel Miglin rounding out the entrants here tonight. 27 total cars on the grid. An hour and a half on the clock, 90 minutes. And in turn, 70% the field limit for reference for the prototypes for this round. Liam, your quick thoughts on what to expect and your keys to victory if you want to win here in France.
I think just overall pace and in general is just going to keep you up front. As long as you queue up front, it's going to be a really tough challenge for that driver that's towards the back who didn't get a time in. Is going to be a really tough task for him to get through the field. But maintaining track position, keeping the car on the track, and just trying to drive a better race than your competitors. Typically racing 101 with your racecraft around this track will get you the win here tonight.
A team 1, 2, 3 for Penguin RC Simulation GTP. They lead the way in the team standings for reference with 336 points. The points leader, Sam Adams, in control of the field. Flynn Lazier for reference has showed great speed throughout the year. Looking to try and break through once more here tonight, depending on how things play out. Already near contact as they make their way to the final chicanes. 4 chicanes before they reach the start box. Bit of a checkup. Green, green, green. We're underway from France.
A little bit of a breakaway already with the top 5 of your pro class drivers towards the front here. Already alongside him into one. They're trying to go wheel to wheel here. Sam Adams covers him off, and that'll be that as we look back toward the GT3s as they're about to take the green flag. Oh, we got a spinner in the back of the top of the GT or the LMPs.
And in a moment, Lowry the spinner is off and away go the GTs. Row of the AM drivers off and away. Youngwall leading them with Lance Nazir. Joining on for the series tonight, Marshbanks in third. Brian Sohn, who has been leading the way in the YAM points, leading the way for the YAM drivers with a 2-car buffer as well. Already had 1 tow. On top of Lowry, the 22 of Dustin Lee Wilson is just towed. 2 prototypes already out in the first minute.
Yeah, Ryan Steinhoff has crashed. It's unfortunate, but we have a decent breakaway here with the top 3 of your GT3 pros as they are trying to sort themselves out. Oh, we got a spinner. The 3rd place car. That'll be... Oh, another incident. Oh, and he hits him again. Oh, no.
That's Cody Cosgrove, one of the top drivers of the point standings for the pro side in GT. Marshbanks going around, approaching the start of the Mulsanne straight. How about that to start off the race?
Yeah, that is a tough break for him. It's going to hurt him really big in the point standings up front. It's your 2 LMDHs of Sam Adams and Lazier. Just nose to nose. Nate Stewart a little further back from him, but they're going to try to get through here, and that's a big implication of the championship. You don't want to have an incident this early on with over an hour and a half to go.
Keep in mind, the Mulsanne straight considered one of the best opportunities to not just pass but save fuel today. Longest straightaway with a couple different chicanes down the midst of it already, though. Adams trying to break away from the teammate Flynn Lazier. Of course, that is from the family of Laziers with the open wheel experience in the real world, as we've seen at CES at a certain track at Speedway, Indiana.
We have a little bit of a battle going on towards these GT3s. Getting through the chicane here, everyone seems to sort it out. But yeah, these long straightaways open up passing opportunities pretty big, as we see the Mercedes here trying to get it. Oh no!
Another one of the prototypes
that's
going
the race
around.
leader, Sam Adams.
Adams
the leader.
from the point, and that's in Indianapolis for the first time, turn 19. And incidents are building up and quickly after 4 consecutive victories throughout the 2 rounds in the sprint and the feature races. The first endurance round sees significant damage to Adams as one more car off.
That's going to be race-ending damage there. I don't know if you're going to be able to come back from that. That might be too much to fix, but that's going to be big opportunities for Nate Stewart and Blake Reynolds and Lazier to try to capitalize on this.
Freeman amongst those losing time in the M class. Now, there is one caveat to mention for today's round. Drivers have been given one fast repair for this endurance round. Well, that's now coming into play huge for some of the drivers, to say the very least. The downside, if you have to tow, it's a long tow here, up to 5-10 minutes, as we take a look as Flazier now leads it.
Yeah, it's a long tow, and it's also a long drive back. If you're not going to be able to drive back at speed, that yellow or safety car is going to be able to come into big play for him, but you don't want to use a fast repair this early on, especially when this is such a difficult racetrack to navigate.
Nate Stewart, Blake Reynolds remaining in the main grouping. Ryan Steinhoff, Chris Witz, Justin Malillo already losing touch-up. Note Malillo losing 16 seconds in the lap. Lots to look towards potentially here. We mentioned Robert Lowry, for example, did not put up a time in qualifying. He said, and I quote, he forgot to qualify, and then first corners, not looking great.
Yeah, and that's just what the lack of track position will do. It'll put you back towards the drivers that struggle a little bit with speed, and as you can see, try to go around the outside here, went into the caught the curb there. It's really rough on these prototype cars, and that's early damage on, especially on the first slide. You're going to have to crawl all the way around the racetrack with that damage.
Lowry second in the prototype standings entering today, and had been the quickest driver in final practice by half a second before that. Wow, let's take a look. This is later on in the lap, and this is the stack involving Cosgrove. Cosgrove, mind you, amongst those in the championship hunt in the GT roadside. However, you see some of the battling behind as well and around, getting a little bit rubby in those first laps. All because Marshbank's losing it here.
Yeah, it's a very easy mistake to make. It's such a high-speed corner, and as you can see, Cosgrove made the same mistake there, and unfortunately there was a car there, and he caught even more damage than he would have. Here's Sam Adams, and oh no. Caught the curb there, couldn't get it stopped. Car hits rails, and really vicious impact there.
A lot of tough hits there. Sam Adams has completed his repairs after 1 minute and 31 seconds, including the fast repair. He took a full service. Cosgrove just completed the fast repair, 7 seconds, but is 2 minutes behind the rest of the field. Trevor Greenfield just completing the service as well. As Nate Stewart has lost a lot of ground, you may notice there he was within a few tenths to start the lap. Nate Stewart now having some errors where he's lost about 5 seconds. So this race already attrition-filled, Liam, to say the very least, and we're 2 laps in.
Yeah, I mean, only 7 minutes have been, have elapsed in this race, and, oh, we got a car stopped here, but yeah, this is such an easy track to make mistakes at. It's such big straightaways, but also it encourages driving as fast as you can through the corners, especially with all the different types of corners. You have fast corners, slow corners, mid-speed corners. You got to really be on your A game here to navigate this track with precision and speed.
You're looking at the top 2 now in GT Pro. Jan Wall currently leading the way as part of Simply Inspired local racing. Lance Nazir joining into the action just this evening, in fact, in that Mercedes AMG, but is somebody who's been around for a long while, is more so on the oval scene.
Yeah, very accomplished racer, Lance Nazir is. I've raced him in Road to Pro, and he's a really good driver. He just has to be able to come to grips with these cars, and no doubt in my mind that he'll, especially after the safety car, he'll be a little higher at pace, and maybe be able to get by Youngwall here.
And that becomes the major question. Do you, in terms of long-term strategy, want to make the pass early, or do you take the fuel save and think big picture?
You definitely take big picture into mind. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint race, so you're going to want to save fuel any chance you get. Maybe keep some tricks up your sleeve as far as an overtake on the leader here, and just learn all you can, learn where strengths and weaknesses are, and save as much fuel as you can, especially with the yellow being able to come out at any time.
Of note, Marshbanks, we've seen some troubles with in that 37 today, has picked up a black flag in sim. So one of the Eric Loco machines having some troubles, the 37 from the pro side. Will have to serve the penalty. Alrighty though, see some traffic to deal with for Flynn for a couple of the prototypes. These are towards the back of the field. This is Sam Adams already about 1 minute and 36 seconds plus behind, making 1 minute and 52 seconds back. Needs a lot to go his way to be able to close up to the rest of the field.
Yeah, and it's, never say never, but it's such a tough task to match the pace of Blake Reynolds and Lazier, as Blake Reynolds just set the fastest lap of the race a few laps ago. It's going to be really tough for him to try to counteract his mistake earlier in the race.
See how Adams does, 7th in class currently. Of note with Reynolds, see in the timing pylon he has closed up the gap within 3/10. We're also taking a look now at Phil Young. Phil Young, once those getting around one of the fours, that is Wayne in the 00 who had a mistake in the last corner to lose him 2 to 3 spots already.
Yeah, and I bet partially of that is the Ford being one of the older cars on the service, the BOP on it. Something that isn't really talked about too much with the GT cars is BOP is pretty swayed heavily one way or the other. As we've got a car off track here. I believe that is the 027 car. He takes a trip through the gravel, gets it going, has to serve a slowdown, and that really hurts you for these long straightaways. You have to keep as much momentum as you can through the corners. So while you may serve maybe like 5 seconds or half a second of time gain, it's really about 2 seconds lost by cutting a corner.
Meanwhile, Wayne in the Ford starting to pick back up the momentum. Intriguingly, we've seen that car pick up some tempo in other series this year, usually on the speed tracks, as Wayne completes the pass in the 00. That's the most intriguing thing. Despite being one of the oldest cars, it still can pack a punch at draft tracks where you can pick up the draft, such as this one, such as Monza, such as a couple other circuits like Daytona.
Yeah, and it's really tough with these long straightaways, because this car can get away. As you see, it pulls away even with the draft. The BMW just can't quite keep up, but through these corners, that's where it really shines. It just lacks the downforce that the other cars have, and that's where it gets interesting with these GT cars. It's just very, very mismatched as far as the car's strength and weaknesses.
Wayne already up 3 spots. Of note, the biggest mover through the field, Ray Kingsbury, who's up 12 positions inside the top 5 just up the road. Ray Kingsbury amongst those who did not put up a time in qualifying, mind you. We talked a bit about this before tonight's action. This track is a pretty difficult one for a time, more in that with the size, you get a lap or 2 at most, even with the start position. It's going to be critical to make sure you don't make mistakes though throughout the night. Ray Kingsbury, by the way, leading the way from Penguin RC Simulation, leads the way in GT team points.
Yeah, it's just about getting away and just getting into a rhythm at this track. All these drivers are probably in their rhythm now after they have now starting their 3rd lap, coming to their 4th lap, but we're starting to settle into a rhythm, letting these tires come up to temp and getting comfortable for the long race ahead.
So things settling in, about 20 estimated laps to go when the drivers come up to the stripe. How things play out, Lazier, Reynolds, and Dustin Lee Wilson currently in the line. Dustin Lee Wilson of note amongst those who had the early toes, so he just rides behind. Lazier, though, is starting to pull away a bit after Reynolds had kept it so close for about a couple laps.
Hearing a little bit of race communication from the league owner, Blake Reynolds, as we've got a car off here.
That's one of the Fords.
One of the Fords struggling with the grip through those corners there, Matthew Johnston. But hearing from the race director, Blake Reynolds, he said if Dustin stays out at the safety car, doesn't take any pit service, he can get his lap back. So might be a worthy sacrifice for him to forego the tires, but get the track position back.
Possible option. We'll see how it plays out for some. Once those in that after a 5-minute service with the tow. Of note, by the way, Adams has moved himself to 7th overall on track for reference, but he is still 2 seconds back, but still is up to 7 seconds off the tempo of the race leader currently. As Lazier clips a little bit of the grass coming out of the Corvette curves.
Yeah, and he's making heaps of time on Justin Malillo, so maybe before the safety car he might be able to get up to Justin Malillo. Not sure if he'll be able to pass him in time, but you know, we're only 4 laps in. He's made all that track position back. Now it's time for him to set stone, as we have a little bit of a slide from Blake Reynolds in second there. Nate Stewart just coming out of the final corner there, covering up that charge from that 4th place LMP. Or, no, that is a lap car. My bad.
Yes. So, take a look at some of the air groupings. Billion still trying to hold on to position. Qualification came in amongst the point scoring overall title as well as AM title. Brian Song, part of Penguin RC simulation and the actual location of it, doing well this year. Did really well to start off the year at Road America, doing well to try and pass a pro driver. Billion not giving it up easy though with a cut to the curb and the squeeze.
Yeah, and he keeps the momentum off the corner, so he's going to have to charge that run all the way back up. Good thing with these long straightaways is there's a big opportunity for him to get that slipstream and go into the next corner. As you see, he has the run here. Where will he take it? He's looking outside here. Might try to fake low. He's going to actually keep that outside charge, staying alongside him, and he'll cover him off. And into the corner, no charge yet. He's going to back off and let him have this one for now.
Keyword for now as Son watches Filliard clip a little bit of the dirt. Filliard, keep in mind, was amongst those in the midst of some of the bumping and banging for the prototype lead last time out. Running under the banner Dead Zone Racing this campaign. Here comes Son with the draft. Heading up to Indianapolis. Side by side, Son with the run. Son looking to fully get the job done. Filliard looking for the chance to tuck in. Does let him have the spot. Now 10 sends it back in turn with a better roll through the second portion of the curbing. And on the outside to hold off.
Contact over here. The just ahead of the 01 car. We got a car around. It's a 21. He's stuck over there. It's going to be a really tough place for him to get back going, as a bunch of cars are still coming. And he'll get back going here. But with all these corners, a lot of them flow into each other's direction. So it really opens up the opportunity to make a overtake. But it makes it also really easy to defend because how quickly these corners switch back.
So Matt Kingsbury, one of the Dirt Esport drivers, going off. That drops Kingsbury back a little bit. Up 14 spots is Ray Matt. Losing ground there.
As you see, he's got back into a rhythm here. He goes wide here. We'll see if he can. That will be a slowdown. He'll have to give that time back, and that'll open up the door. Oh, he spins!
Brian Son, the AM points leader, hits the wall. Brian Son with a spin around. No mandatory repairs, but that car now has significant damage.
Yeah, and the car ahead still goes off the track in the next corner, but yeah, that's going to be big implications for this race. He's going to have to stomach that damage for the rest of this run. We'll see if he'll be able to get back up with that safety car coming later, but that's going to be big damage and really hurt his chances tonight.
Also out of the race, a DNF for Matthew Johnston after a crash. So that leaves us with 25 cars on track. Marshbanks now serving a black flag this time. Reynolds, meanwhile, keeping close with the draft. The intriguing thing again, how these cars run is that energy save. Keep in mind, Nate Stewart, someone may or may not have some experience with, 5.4 seconds back, who's been really impressive in this season, I will say.
Yeah, Nate Stewart's a really good road racer. I've raced him in Road to Pro, and he's pretty stout on the road courses. And, you know, with that mistake on the opening laps of the race, you know, I thought he was going to be able to, he was going to start falling back. But he's really held touch with these leaders, running similar lap times. Hasn't really fallen outside of the 6-second bracket as he'll do it here for the first time. But he's been hanging touch with them, so it's one mistake away from Lazier and Reynolds to get this a 3-car battle for the lead.
Kentucky-based driver still trying to get that rhythm back after losing 5 seconds early on in the race. By the way, up the road you may notice a little bit of braky lights because that's, well, the GT traffic. The race leaders have caught traffic for the first time. Here comes Lazier around the last of the first group. Tim Brokaw trying to move to the right at the same time as Lazier for a moment. Blake Reynolds also zipping by to the left.
Yeah, and that couldn't be any worse time for your leaders to catch lap traffic in the corners. You want to catch them on these long straightaways. It makes it very easy for these LMDHs to get by these slower GT cars, but it's going to really play into Nate Stewart's hands here as he's gained almost an entire second and a half from those slower traffic being in the way of the leaders.
Now a little bit of clean space for them for the time being. Reynolds continuing to save on through here. Of note, there is a saying when it comes to the roadside: traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. The time you just talked about Nate Stewart taking, just had to take it away with the same circumstances. He just dropped back to 5 seconds back again.
Yeah, but it's going to be a net gain for him is, with this endurance racing, the biggest part is how you navigate the slower traffic. If you can get through cleaner, it doesn't really matter what your pace is as long as you can hang within 2 or 3 tenths a lap of the leader. If you're better through traffic than the your competitors, it will play into your hands later in the race.
Car up for them to deal with is Phil Yaw. The speed differential, by the way, between the classes today, up to 35 seconds. Pretty significant, Phil Yaw. Significant in terms of where he's reached. Reynolds with a bad corner. When Lazier picks up a bumper as they head towards the Porsche curves.
Yeah, and the speed differential, you may think it's going to be huge with how spread out these leaders get and the slower cars get. But these are very, very long laps. I mean, almost 4 minutes.
Oh, that was Matt Kingsbury. They nearly climbed up the back of there, Liam.
Yeah, and that was a prime example of catching a slower car in the wrong spot, as that'll allow Lazier to break away a little bit from Reynolds.
Still have one more car to close up into the Ford curves. That's Wayne. You're getting by. Reynolds, a very aggressive line to close the time back up.
Yeah, he wants to stay in that draft as much as he can to save as much fuel as he can. Oh no, he gets loose off the final corner. That'll allow Reynolds to get through for the race lead for the first time tonight. And Blake Reynolds will take the lead of this race.
So the 24-year-old with the slide. Colorado-based driver dropping back to second with the mistake. Now having to regroup as a result of that one.
Yeah, and he's going to have to push hard to stay in the draft of Blake Reynolds. He's been leading the entire race, so he's going to have way less fuel than Reynolds has. He's been able to save the entire time. And this GT car, catching him there, it's going to really play into Reynolds, as he's already 2 seconds clear of Lazier.
That was Kevin Fanning, and a huge, huge bubble is enough to cause a major momentum swing. So the Indy Lights in Atlantic Championship Series competitor dropping way back in terms of that retrospect as a result of some of the traffic management. Ray Kingsbury also someone to deal with in terms of the traffic. So now it gets interesting on how things can play out here. Still plenty of time to go. Approaching the first 30 minutes complete here, mind you, but already seeing Daniel Micklin of note already taking a pit stop, so we may see pit stops come into play. A scheduled stop, it appears.
Yeah, and if you're Blake Reynolds, you're wondering whether or not you should go, because this is an opportunity to try to stretch out this lead. He's not inside your draft right now, so you're going to have to either make the decision whether you want to let him back by, save more fuel, or if you just want to go and make him burn as much fuel as you can to try to keep pace with you.
And that's going to be the intriguing part of the 70%. Normally with these types of cars, we see a lot more fuel burn around the 40-minute mark or so. With the 70%, that's much more tighter, let's put it that way, to make it on a 2-stop, let alone a 3.
Yeah, and Blake has been in his dirty air the entire race, so those front tires may not be as good as the second-place cars. He's starting to make some time back up. He's starting to push. Nate Stewart, as you can see, have a little bit of a bobble at the final at that corner over there, but it's a game of a chess match, really, with this endurance racing, whether or not you want to go, whether or not you want to stay back and save fuel. But As you can see, it looks like Lazier is trying to push to try to make that time back up.
Keep in mind, these are teammates with Penguin RC Simulation GTP. Based on the trends in the past, what would
Oh no! The race leader!
No! Reynolds loses it for the lead. Lazier back to the point, and the leader's car strikes again in France.
That is a huge mistake by Blake Reynolds. Now Nate Stewart is closer to him than he is to the leader. But man, that is a huge mistake by Blake Reynolds there, and it's very, very easy to make such a mistake through that corner. But this is a big opportunity for Nate Stewart as long as he can keep the tires on the track and keep the car straight. Get back into this race.
Stewart now within drafting distance to Reynolds, just about, or was before the traffic. Lots of it to deal with. Christian Yunwall, the GT Pro leader, letting on by Reynolds. Lazier now up 2.6 seconds as a result of that slide. And pit stops starting just after that. Wow, what a time for that to happen.
Yeah, your Blake Reynolds and Nate Stewart will come in here as well as your leader of the race. And the top three will come in for their service. Should be a pretty quick pit stop here, but as you can see, the race leader has a pretty decent margin back to Blake Reynolds than Blake Reynolds has to Nate Stewart.
You know, the tough thing about the timing, that's a 25-minute fuel window. You break it down, we're talking about 3 stops and a possible splash and dash at the end of the race now. And it looks like difference on the tire strats. Stewart on the jacks, Lazier on the jacks, Reynolds, no tires, Liam.
Yeah, that's a very interesting decision, especially after that spin. Those tires aren't going to be too happy with him, especially after that spin. With this tire, it takes a little bit to cool down. Track isn't too toasty here, so it's gonna be a little rough for him to get those those tires cool.
Now this though, with the 70% track temperature, 70-degree Fahrenheit track temp, Reynolds now in the lead. So that call saved him 2 seconds. Lazier 2 seconds quicker than Stewart in the box. So that leaves Nate Stewart back to square one, 4.8 seconds back again.
Yeah, but that whole sequence shows you how quickly things could shake up. You could be 5 seconds back and you can be leading at the end of the lap. It's very, very intriguing with the strategy by Blake Reynolds. He'll get the lead and try to drive back away, try to get that gap back, but that mistake really costly for him.
And that's going to be the question mark. With these track temperatures, double if not triple stinting can be common here. Here's the question. How does this play out, do you think, now with Reynolds for the back end of this run, but also knowing the fuel runs are this quick?
I wouldn't be too sure. I mean, it's a very interesting play. Those tires aren't going to be as fresh, but as you can see with those cold tires on the 3, it allows Blake to have a little bit of a stabler corner exit, and makes you wonder if he wants to try to make up all this time at the end of the race, or if he wants to try to keep this track position. But yeah, very intriguing strat by Blake Reynolds.
Also the intriguing part when it comes to GTs, normally their fuel about 50 minutes up to about an hour. Although that's gone down since the clutch and coast method has now been necessarily muted, so to speak. So you can't necessarily clutch into the braking zones and save the gas that way. That was talked about a lot for some races in the past week at tracks like Monza, where you no longer can save in the GTs. So now it's the question, how does that factor in for today?
I think it allows these drivers to just go and have just pace, a race of pace rather than a race of saving fuel. And with these GT cars, they caught a pretty big update throughout the most recent build on iRacing, and it allows drivers to make these cars a lot more of a handful. So really allows driver skill to be more of a forefront as far as who wins these races.
Top two still 0.3 of a second separate. They picked up 2 seconds this lap, by the way, on Nate Stewart. So both of them looking strong, and keep in mind, the interesting fact I heard over the radio, Blake Reynolds does provide some support to the fellow drivers in terms of setups. They are using a modified setup from Daytona with just the downforce update, if I understood right.
Yeah, I mean, and it might be a little bit of a puzzling thing with the Daytona being a flatter racetrack, but you look at these corners, they are pretty similar with how they enter and exit. Some downhill, but mostly they're all flat. So, I mean, I can't really say they'd be too much different handling-wise. And as you see with the radiuses here, they're not too different. Just a very, very, very longer Daytona, but high-speed corners, low-speed corners, this, you know, not too different from Daytona.
I mean, Daytona does have very high banking in the corners.
Fair.
I mean, the infield's flat, but Dustin Lee Wilson coming in for pit stops. Remember, he was on the fast repair strat. Looking at some of the battles, Kingsbury and Phil yet again. There'll be a stop for them, not quite yet. So this looks to be, for these drivers, a two-stopper compared to the 3 for the LMDHs.
Yeah, it seems to be that way as got a little bit of a battle here. He's going to swing out to the left, or the right of this car here.
Trouble, Nate Stewart. They battle. Nate Stewart comes out right nearby them. Nate Stewart yet again sliding off the track on his own. We keep rolling.
And that is going to be a very difficult margin to make up for Nate Stewart. The safety car, though, might come into his play and into his benefit, as we have another car off track, the 19, as he's struggling to find his way back to the track. There it is. He's got it, and he'll get back going. Josh Ondo.
Ondo. There's a lot of ground, but as you've seen, Phil did complete the pass in the midst of that spin around with Nate Stewart.
Oh, that LMDH there really sliced through that traffic there. Really making up, trying to use as much, trying to get it through as efficiently as he can. But as you can see, he's getting the draft again, and it looks like he's lifting, gonna let him keep the track position here, maybe save some fuel.
I heard the radio communication right as Matt Kingsbury nearly sends it off into the bollards to the left side of the track there. I'm doomed was kind of the message coming out of the Ford chicanes over the radio to Phil Yaw. Of note, Sam Adams has come in for the pit stop scheduled for the prototype. Also of note, that driver who zipped on by there in the midst of that traffic want to touch upon is Ryan Steinhoff. The team he represents completely switched over from GTs to the prototypes before the last round. DVR Racing. Each and every one of their cars in their first race in the prototypes, they were in a crash-in. They were involved in at least one incident in the sprint in the features. Much improved today for Steinhoff, as well as for him today at least. Wilson has had bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, you really want to get the momentum back turned the right way, and you know, really all he starts with not making mistakes. And with Nate Stewart's mistake earlier, he may be able to charge his way up to the podium places in his class, but much better run for him tonight. Oh, we have another car track. Is that Blake?
It is again another leader's course. Reynolds, from a half a second lead, loops it again in Ernage.
Remember, he didn't take tires that last stop, so looks like they're starting to meet their expiration date there. But Blake Reynolds really struggling on these older tires as he loops it around in a similar fashion to how he did when he took the lead earlier in the race. As you can see back here, Kingsbury's getting a little bit of pressure, but doesn't look like he'll have a run into the next corner yet.
Switch back previously coming towards Indianapolis for reference on those wondering where did that come through, as Chris Wetz looks to quietly make his way through. I will say Chris Wetz keeps himself very active. Usually see him throughout Monday Night Racing as well. Old racing experience behind the wheel in the 71. Up in the top 5, has some experience in FTF competition, believe, as well.
Yeah, Chris Wett's a really stout driver, especially in the A car. Obviously, this is just a little bit more grip than the next-gen cars, but very, very experienced driver. Really keeps himself on track, and that's fundamental to gaining success on iRacing.
Also raced in a ton of different types of cars. He actually won the Great Bowl earlier this year. That actually was a short track race in one of the older Lotuses, believe, back in that time in the month of February. So, with 17 estimated laps to go, approaching the halfway mark of the race, Lazier, Reynolds, Stewart, your top 3 side by side again, though, building up. Phil Yaw and Matt Kingsbury not backing down in the battle for what has been aggressively for 6th.
Yeah, it's been a very, very tight race between these two, really going back and forward lap time wise, and really being going back and forward with their positions. If one gets through, the other one gets through maybe 2-3 corners later. So these drivers have been really aggressive on keeping the race lead as LMDH gets through for P2 in that battle there. That's going to allow the 027 to get a little bit of breathing space and cool off his tires a little bit, and it'll be a little more difficult for the 21 to make a charge.
Very watching, letting by that prototype in turn, letting Filliard through. So they sort themselves out of note. Another battle has closed up the road as well. Wayne and Fanning. Then 1 second as well. There they are. In fact, there with Wayne getting himself forward in front of Fanning there. And picking up a lot of ground. And here's the thing. The Ford is in fourth. And it's gaining a decent amount of time away from everyone else in class.
Yeah, and the biggest thing to this driver's advantage here tonight is he's been very, very clean and hasn't really made an off-track excursion. So he's been very, very clean, kept the car on track, and it's really playing into his favor. You know, gaining all that time back from other people's mistakes, and really big pace from this car tonight. So a little surprising to see the Ford run this quick around here, but iRacing with their BOP updates lately have really gone a long way to making all these cars quite similar in pace. So this Ford has got a little bit more pep in its step.
A lot of work put in behind the scenes with Pony Express, presented by TWR, to find the speed, as we've seen and talked about when one of their Fords made it to the podium last time out with how well they ran. That was one of the Johnstons. Right now, need to close up a little bit more ground, though, about 10-20 seconds nearly, to be able to get up to Ray Kingsbury.
And that's a long, long distance, but you got to remember the safety car that is due sometime soon. Got a little bit of race left, or a decent chunk of race left, actually. So we're due for a safety car sometime soon. We'll see all these drivers bunch back up, and we'll see how they navigate that.
Kevin Fanning, something's going on with that 441. He is losing tons of ground this lap. He's now lost a spot to Phil Yaw, and that was about a 4 or 5 second gap down to Mulsanne straight originally. What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm trying to find his car, but you can see he's going back for the overtake here, as it looks like he might have some terminal damage under the car. As he actually holds back even, so very, very interesting lap. I'm not seeing an incident recorded for him, but very, very strange, to say the least.
Do you think he can make it on fuel?
Yeah,
What lap is this lap?
Yeah, he may have run it too hard because he gained all that spot, or they gained all that time back on that one straightaway, so he is going to pit here.
Oh, trouble,
Looks
Matt
like.
Kingsbury. Kingsbury just about has smashed it through the Porsche curves, spinning it around again. He did indicate his pit stop was this time by either way.
Yeah, so he will be pitting in, and then I bet he's happy that it's this lap because those tires seem to have met their end here. So he'll come in alongside this 4041 car, so looks like your theory may have been correct there, is he's just trying to make it on fuel.
And Kingsbury hard set to be able to close up the gap and turn. It's not the easiest of pit entries, per se, with some of the S's that you have to go through before you get to the yellow cone.
Yeah, you have to be super aggressive because that can be worth upwards of half a second to a second on total pit stop time, and that could be worth a lot later, especially, you know, combine all the pit stops together. That's 3 seconds on track, so if you can maintain that advantage, you got to be as aggressive as you can.
Benchmark about 30 seconds to pit stop deltas. Some drivers going up on the jacks, others not. Keep in mind, it is double stint weather as talked about, with the cool track conditions getting cooler here in the late evening start time. It's about 8 p.m. in sim, nearly 9 p.m. Lights are on the cars, as you can see. So this race finishing in about 52 minutes under the full darkness just about. And that was a question entering the week. What time would this race start in sim? How about late evening to night time to test the driver's skills?
Yeah, and speaking of driver skills, it's been a really dominating race for the GT car of Youngwall. He's been just set sail and hasn't really looked back. I mean, Nazir has been very, very, very impressive in his debut, being able to hold a solid P2 right now. But Youngwall has just driven away, and very, very impressive performance from him tonight.
Youngwall, max points in 3 of the 4 total races in the 2 rounds coming into today. Give a shout out to Nazir, still running strong. Albeit, I am not sure why he is weaving back and forth down the straightaway right now in front of Sam Adams.
Yeah, he's just giving a little bit of fun to it, or a little bit of just playing a little bit with his dead zone teammate there as he goes on by, gives a little bit of flash of the headlights, and a little bit of a no man's land race for him. So he's just sitting in 2 in his own little island, so it's going to be a little difficult for him to make up that time back without a mistake from him, as we got a new fast lap of the race. Flynn Lazier set a quickest lap of the race. Not what Blake Reynolds wants to see.
Lazier nearly 5 seconds up the road. And Lazier getting involved in a lot of sim racing events. He was also involved in Lionheart competition with this team for Penguin RC Simulation. They came away with the top 3, in fact, and they've been showing more and more speed as a unit to be able to do so against some of the top organizations on the sim in the league scene now.
Yeah, and that's very impressive from him. Showing results everywhere. I mean, that shows that how good of a sim racer you really are. If you can be good in everything, it really shows the talent you have behind the wheel. So, very, very impressive race from him, and he's driving away from Blake Reynolds. So, as you can see, he's checking out, and it's kind of a set-in-stone race until the safety car.
And after all, he is a 2-time SCCA runoffs champion, as there goes Lance Nazir, right on cue.
Unfortunately, commentator's curse strikes here. Still in second, so he'll keep the position. As you can see, Kingsbury closing in on him, just 4 or so seconds back, but that big advantage that he had over him is gone now. So Lance Nazir is going to fall into this little dogfight for 3rd, now 2nd place.
So Nazir still holding on to the spot at least, but Ray Kingsbury much, much closer. This is why it's Arnage again.
Yeah, and this is a very difficult corner to get through. It's a downhill corner on the rumble strips, and that can upset the rear of the car. And as you can see, as he went back to the gas, it just looped around there. And it's also tough to get righted here. There's a tire wall there. You can't really go into the grass, or else you don't want to slide into that guardrail over there, because that's terminal damage pretty much guaranteed.
So now this may open the door for Ray Kingsbury a bit. We're taking a look, though, at the 0-2. Cody Crossgrove, he needs the caution, to put it politely. Right now is way far back on the racetrack, about 2 seconds, or rather 2 laps down, compared to the DH leader. But here's the tough part. Not everyone in that class has been lapped quite yet, says there goes the 0-3, Brian Son again, the AM leader.
Yeah, and that's a big opportunity for the 111 of Brokaw. That's a very difficult spot to spin out in. He was very, very fortunate to get through there and get himself off the racing line, because that LMDH was coming quick. So good recovery from him there, but that's going to allow the 2nd place car to gain about 5 seconds on him. He's 2 seconds back now, almost in DRS, or not DRS, or in drafting range of Son.
Good chance, absolutely. Down the same straightaway, in fact. And Son had a massive advantage at one point. It's now nearly gone. He's already used the fast repair, it appears, in this race. There's a look now at Brokaw. And what's that focus going to be like now for Brokaw with how things have been faring out in front? 3rd in the AM standings, mind you. And already his competitor in Mofta losing a lot of ground on the past lap of the 1st place to get him to 2nd.
Oh, it's like smelling blood in the water as a shark. You gotta go. I mean, you're seeing mistakes being made, especially with those tires being hot now. You're seeing this as an opportunity to go and try to get that race lead. So big opportunity for him there. Really gets you in the zone once you see the leader making a mistake. Really pushes you to push that extra 10% to try to get to the race lead.
And there may have been a spin as well during that replay. By the way, Cody Crossgrove lost some more ground on the racetrack. Crossgrove 22nd overall, 13th in the car time. Amongst those that also slid off into the sand trap was this car, Daniel Miglin. And it's worth noting that Miglin used all the runoff space possible through the Porsche curves in 23 and 24, but is still holding on in front of this battle with Marchbanks. Marchbanks, mind you, has not had a great day.
Yeah, and touching back on Cody Crossgrove there, it's just been a terrible race for him to remember. I mean, first lap incident, just hasn't really had the luck with keeping the car on the track, and unfortunately it's going to be a pretty big hit in the points for him. So we'll see if he can turn it around in the second half, as we got a car backwards here trying to loop it around. That is the 666 Freeman Jr. Very, very long turnaround there, but he gets it back righted and back in the racing line.
So Gary Freeman, one of the R-Design cars. So the teammate with Tim Brokaw going around in the circle there. Freeman was involved in some of the earlier incidents, mind you, that put him behind the 8-ball, and he locks up the brakes either way and cuts the whole corner.
Just behind him is Sam Adams. He's catching Justin Malillo pretty quickly, so we'll be able to see an overtake pretty soon between him and Malillo, get him up into 6th place, get some points back, especially after that critical mistake he made in the opening stages of the race.
About to say, Malillo very quiet today, looking to just have some fun. The FTF Drivers Club car. This is his second round competed in. Picked up 18 points in the sprint last time. 42 points in the feature at Sebring. Not the quickest out there, per se. 331's the lap time average today compared to the 325's the leaders. But he is keeping the car on the track with no damage, which has been something that's popped up where it seems race cars land on top of him in FTF competitions or in other major competitions of the past year.
Yeah, he hasn't been having quite the best luck on the big events side of things, but he's kept his car on track. He's a fairly clean racer. I mean, I haven't really seen him ever really cause an incident. He's just been a victim of other people's messes. So if he can find a little bit more pace, I mean, road racing might be up his alley. He's been really, really good with keeping his car on track and not making his own mistakes, not beating himself in these races. So Justin Malillo having a quiet 6 day. He hasn't really fallen out of the top 6 of the top 6 graphics. So decent run from him tonight.
I mean, one of the major messages he actually said on social media was looking to finish better than he did last time. He technically is below his mark. He finished 5th in the feature. But Adams is indeed, as mentioned, closing. Looking, though, at some of these other drivers sort themselves together here. Separations are building up because of all the incidents. Remember, it's a randomly generated caution point by incident mark. Safety car is now. Safety car, Brandon Lambert has called it this time.
Yeah, right on key. But yeah, safety car is out. It's going to be a big opportunity for Sam Adams. Justin Malillo staying ahead of him. You got the entire first half of the race. Oh no, he spins! No,
right in, under caution! Lazier spins it under caution!
That is a very unfortunate circumstance for him. I mean, he's going to lose the time anyways, but yeah, a very interesting moment there from Lazier.
Again, it was thrown by Lambert over the race control channel. So drivers are now trying to sort how this will play out. The first safety car called to the campaign with their first endurance round. This in turn will mean drivers will have to get some things sorted. Keep in mind, they are using similar software I was about to mention for the sorting that is utilized by MTech, which is a series run by the Major Series, to generate that, where that's happened for several cautions at tracks like Sebring in the past, one for tonight.
Yeah, it sounded like the drivers were unaware the safety car was on. The race director called it on all teams on accident, so he didn't have the race control rules, so the drivers didn't hear it unless they were scanning all teams. So Blake Reynolds making the call that the safety car was out. I think that was before the Lazier mistake there. So timely safety car from him, but pits aren't open right now. But yeah, it sounded like the drivers are just unaware of the safety car being out.
Looks like Lazier electing to run at about 90 miles per hour here as the safety car, Blake Reynolds, the only other driver to reach them so far. Trevor Greenfield had just completed his pit stop service around that timing too, so that may be a lot of track position for the 36 of Greenfield.
Indeed it will, as you see the field close up to each other there. Nate Stewart has caught the train of cars here. But drivers have the opportunity to take their lap back if they don't take pit service here, as Blake has stated earlier in the race. So might be a strategy play for the drivers who have had early incidents, maybe try to get some track position back, perhaps capitalize on others' mistakes.
Roberts being told to slow down the pace even more so, as again, we're under caution here for Sim Car competition. Penguin RC Simulation Grand Am Series. It's Lazier, Reynolds, Stewart, top 3 in the LMDHs, top 3 in GT Pro, Yunwall, Nazir, and Ray Kingsbury, M, led by Son, Brokaw, and Mofta. Glad to have you with us here tonight on FDF. Yeah, we're under caution, 41 minutes to go on the clock here from the French countryside. Pit party time for SimCar Penguin RC Simulation Grand Am Series competition as we're under the VSC here for the French countryside. Just Prince Liam Sheen with you with our producer Zach Johnson as drivers sort themselves together here for tonight. Pit stops complete. Lazier, Reynolds, Stewart, Steinhoff the top 4 with Wentz and Adams the top 6. Off the race, off the lane. Adams a big boondoggle on the timing of that caution, just as the pit window was about to open, regardless of the prototypes, Liam. They now come in. It's worth noting the GTs are saying over the radio they are close on gas right now.
Yeah, the looks like the GTs are going to be given the opportunity to pit this time by. They're rolling really slow to allow everyone to catch back up. But you can see slowly rolling through there. Your race leader and the GT holding 10 miles an hour. So the dominant car still leading this race. Nazir in second and Kingsbury in third.
So you see those drivers trying to catch each other up, and something's happened to Trevor Greenfield under the caution. He has towed under caution.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Probably had an off. I mean, you know, maybe under safety car, but drivers are still easily susceptible to incidents, as you can see through this corner. Oh no, he caught the grass, and that is race-ending damage from him. Certainly, almost guaranteed takes him out of the running for the race win. So, very unfortunate circumstance for him. It just looked like a lapse of judgment there. Caught too much grass and caught the guardrail.
So, also of note, Marshbanks over the radio reporting that he was struggling to catch up to full pace. During the caution, there is a faster pair available for drivers. However, Greenfield likely to lose possibly a lap with that. Here's a look at Marshbanks. He might be a candidate of using the faster pair here. He's only had one total pit stop. He hasn't used it to repair the car yet, as some drivers come in this time. There they go, in fact, the GTs.
Yeah, pits are open this time, so they are coming down pit road to get their service in, and maybe the final stop of the night for them. So we'll see if they can make it from here. We'll probably go to green with third race distance left to go, about half an hour, so it'll be a dogfight to the end here.
It might be intriguing on how far they can go, because the farthest anyone went in the last fuel window was 9 laps. Right now, the estimate is about 10. We may get 9 laps, depending on the timing of the start here. We do know for certain, though, the prototypes have to come in again, because they can only go 7.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting with the prototypes, whether they just want to split this in half, take the take as little fuel as they can or need to, and just run a drive from there, or if they'll run as long as they can, take a little splash at the end, and see if they can make it from there. Might see a different conflicting strategies from the LMPs or the LMDHs and GTs here. Whether or not GTs will try to short pit here, try to go as hard as they can with a clean track, or if they'll try to make it to the end.
Once again, for those just tuning in, Penguin RC Simulation GTP at Team 1-2 in the LMDHs currently on the racetrack. Nate Stewart, despite several mistakes in the last stint, still holding on to third. Steinhoff for DBR Racing in the top 4. Chris Wetz in 5th. Adams, the points leader overall and in car class, in the 6th spot currently, trying to recover from an early crash from the race lead on the opening lap. In terms of the team side things, when it comes to things in GT, Yunwall currently leading the way for the 55 machine. That respective camp, seeing Yunwall run for Simply Inspired Kawoko Racing. Lance Nazir, Independent, Ray Kingsbury round at the top 3, currently a part of Penguin RC Simulation, the leading GT team in the point standings. Wayne leading the way today for Pony Express, and Joshua Fillion for Dead Zone doing well today in the top 5 overall. Brian Son of note, part of that camp for Penguin RC Simulation leading the way in AM. Tim Brokaw was closing in with the mistakes. Marwan Mofta, though, for Dirt Esport is back in the conversation too after losing ground early in this race. Here's the intriguing part. How these drivers are going to sort out here could get really intriguing on when we get restarted here, as Wayne is cutting into the grass, trying to catch up to the queue.
Yeah, he went off on the through the corner, cut the corner, and you won't have a penalty from it except from some dirty tires. But if you're Sohn here with those mistakes he made towards the end of this run, leading into the safety car, it'll probably hurt your confidence because this is the fastest these cars will go all tonight. So we'll see easily some purple laps here, and drivers pushing to their absolute max to try to get the race lead early and try to dispose of the competition quickly.
So drivers warming up their tires. I'd like to remind you that drivers in this series competing for prizes in terms of weekly racing and for the championship. Brought to you once again by Penguin RC Simulation. First place in respective classes today for the LMDHs and GT3s will get $15 credit towards an order through Penguin RC Simulation and guaranteed free shipping. Second place in classes today, $13 credit. Third place gets $10, $7 for fourth place, $5 for a fifth place finish. Well, the top finishing AM team gets 10, 7, and 5 in the top 3. Remember, they also have the chance to be able to pick up a $75 credit towards those orders throughout the campaign with the championship overall per car class. The top AM class winner picks up $25. To learn more about Penguin RC Simulation, go to penguinrc.com, or if you are an RC driver, go to the older site to be able to find out what RC cars you can pick up through Penguin RC Simulation. Some drivers trying to get gathered up. Gary Freeman not happy with the radio with Trevor Greenfield just now. Remember, Greenfield had to tow and had just came out of the pit lane, it appears here. So they had to sort themselves out here before getting going.
Yeah, and it'll be about half an hour to go before when the safety car ends here, the VSC ends. So GTs are instructed to give some extra room to the LMDHs here. So it looks like we'll have the VSC end this lap as the leaders get away there in the top class. But GT's holding up the line there, and looks like we're about to see racing resume.
That's why there's the slow down, slow roll down. 3 drivers yet to close up to the back of the pack currently. Do not pass before the start and finish line. Inserted for race control. Unless there's a crash, emphasized. Big chance for Robert Lowry. Remember the last time we had a start procedure? He had, after being top driver in practice, not qualifying, had to come back from a lot of time lost as well, like Adams. He has a good chance here, along with Adams, to take advantage of Malillo, currently the meat and the sandwich in the midst of that recovery drive slot.
Yeah, and Lowry hasn't been able to make too much time forward, but this is a big opportunity for him to make a charge to the front. Sam Adams is going to be the guy to watch here, but as they come through this corner here, coming to the front straightaway and the start-finish line, safety car is about to end, and it looks like he'll be getting underway very soon as... Oh, looks like he's going, looks like he's not. Doing a very F1 style restart here.
See how this plays out. In through the chicanes. Remember, they were near contacting each other with the double file for the initial start. Lazier through the gas coming out of the 4 chicanes. Off and away. Green. Back underway. Reynolds stays within 6/10 back. Nate Stork going already. Couple cars making moves. Malillo letting on by Lowry. Adams looking to make a move, just making one on Wentz. The top 2 stay single file.
Yeah, very respectful from Malillo there to let him go and let the faster cars duke it out amongst themselves. But as you can see, Lazier stretching out a little bit over Blake Reynolds as we got a spin in the back with the LMDHs, and that is the 74. That's such a heartbreak for him. He was running in the top 4 all race long, and that'll be it for him.
Find Steinhoff, that driver, as we take a look at how things play out. GT restart procedure, Yunwall. Taking things a little bit slower, a little bit different for the restart mark. Ray Kingsbury waiting for the chance. There it is. Green, back underway. And already Lance Nazier to the right side.
Yeah, we're wasting no time trying to put the pressure on him. And the 55 will get through to the race lead. But Lance Nazier, very aggressive move by him there. Still trying to hold alongside him there, trying to force him off. And he'll get through to that position.
Single file now sorting itself out after the run through the Dunlop curb and the Dunlop chicane through the S's. Some of the separation already building up. One driver trying to separate themselves from the darker portion of the racetrack. It's Ondo and the 19.
Yeah, it's going to be a very lonely finish of the race for him tonight. But very, very, very impressive opening lap from Sam Adams. He's up to 4th and putting the pressure on Nate Stewart for 3rd in the podium places.
3 slowdowns in through the Mulsanne chicanes to start. Kingsbury, Greenfield, Marshbanks, Matt Kingsbury specifically, all having to serve slowdowns. Hearing some spots may have to be given back if I just heard right there, Liam, though, for at least one driver in the GTs.
Yeah, and the 37, John, the 37 of, yeah, Marshbanks is going to let him go back through, so he's giving the spots back there, and that'll be that. So it looks like a miscommunication or a misunderstanding from him on his part, so he'll give the spots back and get the racing back underway. Big scrap here amongst the GT cars. 3 cars under a blanket here going for the overtake. I believe that is on one of the Penguin RC cars, and he will get through and set himself back into, I believe that is 6th place.
Indeed, that is Brian Song getting shuffled back. Now with the technical issue to boot. Matt Kingsbury running away regardless. So, 26 minutes now on the clock. Ray Kingsbury in all of this has taken over the class lead because something has happened to Christian Yunwall. Yunwall may have just had to serve a slowdown the second Mulsanne chicane.
Yeah, that's a costly mistake from him. He is now 1.4 seconds back of your class leader of Ray Kingsbury, so big opportunity for him to try to break away here, break free, and string together some very quick laps to try to close out this win.
Wayne also taking advantage to move up the second. Yunwall is trying to keep up for that fight, and Nazir staying close to it as well. What a drive for Ray Kingsbury in turn up 14 positions. Yunwall to the back nearly of Wayne of the Ford.
Yeah, and seeing that behind him is music to his ears. He can see him just scrapping in behind for position. If you're Youngwall, you want to get back by as quick as you can. As for 3rd, Sam Adams was going for the lunge on Nate Stewart, wasn't able to get there. So music to Ray Kingsbury's ears right there. He's gained another 2/10 on the 2nd place car. So as these drivers try to scrap and sort themselves for P2, it's going to allow Ray Kingsbury to get away.
Kingsbury currently up by 10 car lengths. Still trying to sort together Yunwall, closing up again to the Porsche curves. And you see that speed differential with that downforce you talked about all over the back end.
Yeah, this car is really struggling through these corners. He's getting a little bit of understeer, and he will get through for that P2 position. So we'll see if the Ford tries to get back by him. But really quick on the straightaways is the Ford, so we'll see if he'll try to sort himself back through. And we got a car off over here, 2 cars off. That is in your M class.
That's one of the top drivers of the M points. Mofta involved in this one. Cody Crosgrove, the points leader, entering again in a crash, Liam.
And that is very unfortunate for him. He's in the pro class, and that's an unfortunate set of circumstances for him. It'll for sure put him out of the race.
Not a good day for the O2. And likely a DNF. Already had repairs done earlier. Let's take a look. He's gone on the tow truck.
As you see, he was just over aggressive and tried to get by the AM car, and just very aggressive move on his part, and that'll be race over for him, as he's already used his quick repair, and it seems like he'll be watching the rest of this race from the TV.
Not sure why there was the attempt there.
Yeah, head scratching for move, but you know, hour 10 minutes into this race, these drivers are tired. They're thinking, you know, it's time to go. And you know, thing that's not talked about too much on sim racing is the mental fatigue that these drivers may have just caused a poor judgment from him. So unfortunate move that'll put them possibly both out of the race. We'll see how they shake out as far as the points go. But Sam Adams, very aggressive charge throughout this run, and he's on the chase down. Try to take this race win. Would be a very impressive drive for him to go from last to first in this run.
Keep in mind, you had to pass by Nate Stewart. That swap happening down the Mulsanne straight this past time by. However, it took him 3 attempts to make the pass. That's why he's 4.9 seconds back. How difficult will it be for him in turn now to close this gap up fully?
Well, I think if anyone can do it, it'll be Sam Adams. I mean, he's been very, very quick. Hasn't really made many mistakes ever since the early off-track excursion from him. Had to take the toe, but it'll be... if anyone could do it in this race, I think it'll be him because, you know, you saw the two race leaders make mistakes of their own. So, you know, one mistake from either of them could put him back in the race.
Of note, Gary Freeman has completed service this time by after just 2 laps on tires. Lance Nazir trying to make a move this time. Also bad news in the case of Sam Adams' progression. He just picked up a slowdown to the 27.
Yeah, that's just an example of him pushing to his absolute max, just trying to use all the track he can, and, you know, it could be worth about a 2/10 a lap if you do it right, and looks like he's a little over aggressive there, but yep. Got a retirement from the race. Cody Cosgrove has left the session, so that'll be it for him and his night. Unfortunate ending for him, just night of misfortune from him. So I've got a car coming in a pit road here, the 22 of Wilson. He'll pull off, and big scrap here for position 2.
Still not easy when it comes to Wayne on Nazir.
Yeah, and he's putting all the pressure on him, but that's allowing Kingsbury to get away. But Youngwall set in second.
And that's the thing, Youngwall zipping on by there. Youngwall already knocking down the pylon in terms of time to close up to Kingsbury. No move quite yet for Lance Nazir, looking to do the same on the 4. 4-minute flat last time by for Wayne. Nazir, 3:59.7, nearly running him over again. The Porsche curves have been the major difference, it seems, between the downforce levels.
Yeah, this car really struggles through this sector of the track. Nazir is really able to close up, and a little bit of a twitch from him, it'll allow the Ford to get away here. But as you can see, he was slow through that corner. It'll allow him to open up the right side, and he'll get through and take P3 in class.
Wayne drops back in turn to 4th in the class, still up a +3, but Nazir, but a zip by. The battle is on for the overall lead in the class, though, as a result, too. Wayne also having to serve a slowdown at that exact time he got loose. Youngwall looking to speed up and get back past Kingsbury. Both of them now separated by about 6 car lengths, make it 4 in the brakes.
Yeah, he's being super aggressive to try to close up to the class leader here. He got the lead there. He wants his lead back because he's been dominating the entire race. He's racing with as much as he can throw at the car. So big aggression from him, try to get back to the race lead, but I don't think Ray Kingsbury will lay over. He'll try to fight for this race win as long as he can.
On-time sim racer. Both he and his brother, longtime organizers of sim racing leagues as well, Liam, keep in mind. As far back as the mid to late 2010s, ran multiple different truck series, had higher up positions with some of the top organizations over the years, in fact. Not a surprise to see Ray Kingsbury doing well tonight.
Yeah, very established racer throughout many forms of racing on the iRacing service. So he's... Oh no, he blows the corner!
Ray Kingsbury misses the corner, has to take the slowdown through the chicane. Back to the lead goes Christian Youngwall.
Yeah, it looked like the pressure got to him there, and he's going to have to give a little bit more time back. And as you can see, he's dropping back quickly. But Youngwall is going to set through here and take the lead back. Very unfortunate for him. Ray Kingsbury got the lead there, and you see another pit stop from one of your LMBHs, the 4 of Nate Stewart.
And there's the alternate strategy call. Stewart taking it there, running inside the top 4. But 9 seconds back of the lead. Of note, Robert Lowry still is trying to serve a slowdown for a second time this lap. A couple of the others hitting this time by as well from the class. Wetz and Malou trying the same strategy.
Yeah, I think if you're Nate Stewart, this is a very valid strategy for him. I mean, he didn't have the pace that the 3 leaders had, and Sam Adams getting there through for the podium place there. Very valid strategy for him to try to just go as hard as he can, not have to worry about saving fuel, and get some fresh tires on and make as much time as he can, and maybe snag a podium place back.
We can turn back to Nate Stewart. You may have noticed he didn't lose too much time in that pit stop window. Liam, he just took a 7-second stop on fuel to make it to the end. 9-10 seconds by Wetz, 12 seconds by Malou. That's how tight Stewart's pressing the issue here Is that enough, though, to get him in the conversation for the win?
Maybe not the win, but definitely for third. It'll allow him to push as hard as he can. All these drivers are going to have to do lifting, coasting, and clutching to try to save as much fuel as they can, but Nate can push as hard as he can, and it'll be interesting to see how these strategies collide.
You know, the Rise Esports driver decides things. Meanwhile, Penguin RC Simulation cars 1-2 still. Lazier and Reynolds. Reynolds staying within 1.7 seconds, although there is slowly picking time away from Reynolds. 1/10 quicker last time. The average, he's been up to 2 seconds quicker in the past 5 laps.
Yeah, and Lazier's been really solid up in the race lead. I mean, once you got the race lead from him, there's really no taking it back. I mean, Blake Reynolds, he's been quite strong throughout this race, but it looks like Lazier has found something throughout this race that's allowed him to get that little extra advantage over Blake Reynolds.
Remember, Flynn Lazier missed the first round of the season at Road America. He was second in both the races in what was an all-time classic at Sebring. Contact to the barrier for Lazier, but still a 1.5 second advantage. Sam Adams still 9.4 seconds back of the both of them.
Yeah, maybe he underfueled a little bit to try to, maybe have a little bit more speed in that car, but might be saving a little bit. May have made a few mistakes here and there the last few laps, but the top two have really broken away here.
Been impressive what they've done as a unit all campaign, to say the very least. So as this action continues here, of note, amongst some of the battles on track, Kevin Fanning, Brian Sonner battling for 6th overall on the racetrack as well. Lap traffic also could start playing a bit of a factor here, and there's a bit of a different strategy take. Reynolds just peeled off in the backdrop. Reynolds is in for the pit stop.
Yeah, are any of the LMDHs going to stretch it long? I mean, he's going to split it right in half. On 15 minutes to go in this race, splitting this run in half. We'll see how Nate Stewart shakes out here. He doesn't have to... He had a whole lap of being able to push as hard as he can, so it'll be interesting to see how that meshes with Blake Reynolds as you see the remainder of your LMDHs, except Lazier, coming in for serves.
So, Lowry, Adams in, Lazier the only one not coming in amongst the lead group. Steinhoff also stretching the gas a bit. They can go up to 2 more laps, remember. That will make a stop window of about 3 laps to go. For timing reference, Nate Stewart has not even passed by Sam Adams yet after the pit stop window. In fact, is just now catching him. So this is now close. Stewart does cycle in front of Adams by just 2 car lengths.
Yeah, so that was a very valid move from him. As you see, it played right into his favor. Got right back into the, not quite the provisional podium place, but he will cycle out to the podium place if he can be able to hold off Sam Adams until the 74 pits here. But very good strategy call from him. Realized he couldn't have the pace to match him, but maybe try something else.
Some of the side-by-side battle we were talking about. On in Fanning. Fanning up the inside, hugs the curb, holds on in front of Son. Brian Son's been impressive this season so far. He was extremely happy, to say the very least, on how things played out to start the year at Road America. He's lived up to the expectations, though, as one of the top, in fact, the top AM driver with how he's performed overall so far.
Yeah, I don't think he's lost the race lead in his class at all this race, so very great drive from him. He's been hanging with these pro cars, so showing that he's not quite the, not quite the amateur that these drivers think, as he's 441, very aggressive on the brakes, missed the corner and allowed the 03 of Sohn to get through.
They move up in turn with that move on the positioning. And sort things together. The interesting mark's also going to be now with the other battle with the DHs. This play out amongst Stewart and Adams. We'll have to see in the next lap or so. As the action continues, here are some of the drivers you see tonight and then some. Lots those are competing in the ModernRacingPrints.com FTF1 Series as it returns with the 2023 US 500. That being April the 21st and 22nd. You should join our Discord for FTF.GG and for FTF Racing to be able to follow along with the action for registration and for more information on said event. Once again, the modernracingprints.com FTF1 series. And it's of note, with the car utilized for that series, Liam, there was a recent update to optimize it more so for the ovals, intriguingly enough.
Yeah, and that'll be a pretty intriguing event for the drivers that are going to be racing the succeeding car to the previous car around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So good for FTF for putting together that event. I think you'll see a lot of those drivers from that community show up and take out the IRO1 for a spin there.
Interestingly enough, the update was one of the main factors for the comeback there in regards to that series. They did race in ovals in the past. Pit stops this time, Lazier scheduled, unscheduled for Lowry. Lowry has had to tow the car.
That is unfortunate for him. Just was on the back foot all race. We'll see the incident here. Lost the rear, hit the guardrail. There go the headlights. And that is most definitely race over for him. So just was on the back foot all race. Didn't get to put a time down in qualifying. And unfortunately, race is over. Hard impact for him. But yeah, that'll be it for his night.
So as a result, Lowry looked like a strong contender early on in the night. Not having the strongest ending of it. Lazier, by the way, has cycled back in the race lead after the pit stop. 7 seconds, the quickest stop on the dot, in fact, on the night. More battling between the rivals. Phil Yaw and Matt Kingsbury have been fighting all night.
Yeah, they've been going wheel to wheel all night, and we'll see how they sort this out. Kingsbury's always been the pusher here throughout this little battle. Always been on the attack, and the driver ahead of him has been on the defense. So Phil Yaw has been able to hold off every charge from Kingsbury, but ending stage is 10 minutes to go in this race. We'll see if he's a little bit more aggressive with his attack. As you see, he is. He's going way out wide, trying to get to his inside here, not able to get there, and he goes off track. They're going to bump here, and they go up the hill, and Kingsbury is through for the position.
Matt Kingsbury making the pass. Phil Yaw continuing to try and find a way back. Every time Matt Kingsbury's gotten a bit of a check to be able to try and get the checkmate, Phil Yaw's responded with a check of his own all night long.
Yeah, neither of them were giving each other an inch there, and when he went off, he kept it as tight to the racing line, so Kingsbury would have to make a misstep to try to get through there. But Kingsbury is not going to have the run that he wanted. The Porsche is going to try to get to the back of Kingsbury, try to get the position back, as we have another similar type of corner as we go through this corner here. Kingsbury through, Phil Yaw's through, really close to the guard, or the tire barrier there. We'll see if Phil Yaw can charge a run, but he lost some momentum on exit there.
Fully closed things up. Trouble, by the way, for Marchbanks. Marchbanks has now had a technical issue. He is now out of the race. He had gotten up to a race-high 8 before his technical crash.
And that's unfortunate to have in the final stage of the race. Don't do all this time just to have it all go away in about 8 minutes to go. So that's unfortunate for him. Nate Stewart holding off the charge from Sam Adams. Impressive from him, especially with the pace that Sam Adams has shown all night.
Stewart has been much better in terms of preventing the mistakes I've noticed since the safety car, the VSC period, should say. Remember, he had run 2 to 3 times before the safety car.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him to hold off the likes of Sam Adams because he's been driving, you know, if you have Sam... Oh, no!
That was Tim Brokaw in the darkness they nearly run over. Well,
yeah,
that could have been bad.
Yeah, that was heads-up driving from the LMDHs. As you see Nate Stewart make a little bit of a slip there on corner exit. It's going to allow Sam Adams to get some positive momentum here, but not quite the amount he needed. So Nate Stewart will hold off this 3rd position. But yeah, a little bit of a jump scare at night for these LMDHs, especially at the insane closing rate they have.
About to say, headlights are the only things that can help you see. If you look just at a default viewpoint even of some of the cars, with no headlights shining, it is just the red beams you see. That's it. The headlights, if you end up losing them somehow, oh boy, it's not fun.
And besides the relative box, I mean, you don't really have too much of a call. I mean, the spotters call a car stopped, but slow car, it's not really into account for these GT cars because it's just a different speed. So you can't really take that with, you have to take it with a grain of salt. So you see Nate Stewart getting through traffic here. It's going to hurt Sam Adams. I don't think he'll get through before the corner. He's going to force the issue. It's going to hurt his entry, and it's going to allow Nate Stewart to break away a little bit.
That was Wang. Let him on by. Of note, Fanning have rejoined each other for fighting as well. Road. Respective groupings. Down to about 2.5 estimated laps to go on the race. So far, Flynn Lazier looking to close things up, still keeping an eye on the battles. Here's a look at Lazier in turn. Lazier nearly 5 seconds up the track. Not bad for a rear-wheel veteran.
And he's driven away from Blake Reynolds. I mean, the first one, you saw Blake being able to go tit for tat lap time-wise, but this run, it's just been all Flynn Lazier up front. Just got the lead, never looked back from Blake Reynolds, and yeah, so it looks like he'll, pending a mistake from him or some lap traffic getting in his way, looks like he's got this pretty sealed up.
Yeah, that battle, there's Nate Stewart. Sam Adams picking up some ground because of the traffic there. And in turn, looking like Fanning trying to pick up some draft from the prototypes. Not going to work.
As you see the GT car behind him really putting the issue to, or putting the pressure on him, has really been a race between these two drivers. Not even in the same class, but they've been all over each other the entire race. If you look at the standings, I mean, Sohn is far and away clear of Brokaw, but he hasn't been able to, he hasn't really chosen to lay over for this pro car because I think he's be proving a little bit of a point here.
And remember, Fanning lost a lot of ground at times. Sohn, to keep in mind, is on the fuel-only strategy. In terms of some of the stint difference, it's up to 8 seconds between him and Fanning. Matt Kingsbury and Phil Young with the same sort of window for reference on the racetrack right now. As coming up to 2 to go, estimated on the clock, and the lap this time about 5 minutes under on the board.
And the
It's
closest,
been a night.
Yeah, it's been a night. Looks like the closest battle on track is between Nate Stewart and Sam Adams. Sam Adams, getting really close up to Nate Stewart here. Caught this GT car at the wrong time. Sam Adams had to check up a little bit on exit to not hit Nate Stewart, but he's all over the back of him. Will we see a lunge into the corner here?
And up to the Dunlop curve. Adams trying to go a little bit tighter against the curbing. There's the lunge to the inside of Stewart.
He uses all the racetrack, goes off a little bit. Nate Stewart gets back on the inside. They're going to be side by side into the next corner here. Stewart on the defense, Sam Adams on the offense, and Nate Stewart will hold the position for now, but we'll see if Sam Adams can get through here. I think Sam has a better pace than Nate, but Nate's been really, really good with his defense.
It's been big throughout his night to try and battle with Sam Adams all evening. Mulsanne straight trap though. Potentially pivotal here. Ray Kingsbury up the road for traffic management as well. That is a teammate in-house per se with Penguin RC cars. Kingsbury stays left. There goes Stewart. Early break taken by Ray Kingsbury. That helps Adams for the entry.
Yeah, allow him to get a clean entry through the corner. Sam seems to struggle with corner exit a little bit through this corner, but he actually gets a great exit there. Going to get some positive momentum on Nate Stewart. Not quite close enough for a lunge yet, but as you see, Nate has the draft off of that slower class car. And Nate Stewart will get through. Sam Adams will get through. And this battle's going to come down to the wire.
Lap and a half estimated to go. Adams a little bit more drag on the brake. Onside the curbing more. Just barely avoiding the track cut. Now within a car length.
Yeah, Nate is really pushing as hard as he can. Sam is trying to get by Nate as quick as he can. As we go into this corner, it's a quick switchback. Sam Adams up the inside. and he'll get the positive momentum. Will he get the position? Nate Stewart's on the racing line here, though. He'll get back ahead, but temporarily. Sam Adams going for the crossover. Not quite there.
Able to close off. Stewart once again with the defense. Indianapolis has been very prominent in the sense today. Adams, remember, crashed in that section to start off the race. Will he find the grip he needs for the battle? There he goes, side by side once again.
He's going to try to go around the outside here, but he's going to have to give this position back. Nate Stewart has the shorter way around. Sam Adams on the long way around. Going to go around the outside. Nate Stewart on the outside of him, side by side through this corner. Stewart goes off. Sam Adams finally gets through for P3.
Is it done yet, though? Stewart trying to keep things up. Adams better on the grip. Pulling away, coming out of Barnage. Expecting the white flag this time by, already under the 3-minute mark on the clock, coming up to 90 seconds on the board.
90 seconds to go. We'll see if we can get the white flag this time by. Flynn Lazier up front. Hasn't really been challenged the second run. Blake Reynolds about 5 seconds back, but Flynn Lazier coming to take the white flag maybe this time by. We're not too sure yet. Looks like they may have one more time around after this, but Flynn Lazier going to come take 2 laps to go. And popsicle sticks in the air, as Evan Pasoko would say. Gonna take 2 to go.
Remember, this is a track, and the reason you say that possible 2 to go is, at this circuit, it has been known and documented in the past, for several years in the past, that the white flag may not come out until the next time by, when the clock reaches 0.
I'm not quite well informed on the point structure for this series, but Blake Reynolds has just set the fastest lap of the race, so if there's a bonus point for that, may help him in the standings.
See, once we get the confirmation here, keep an eye on that upper left-hand corner as we see Adams try and pull off from Stewart. Stewart staying within 3 car lengths. Adams has had to scratch and claw his way back up into the spot throughout the day, now looking to close it off, to be able to secure a podium once more this season and help his point situation. Coming up to 0s on the clock in the next few seconds.
And 3, 2, 1, and 0. We're going to have 0s on the clock, and we'll have the white flag next time by, as Nate Stewart really putting the pressure on Sam Adams.
On confirmation, this is not a Bonnie functioning track, so confirmation of the mark, but final lap showing on the scoring. Lazier with a 4-second advantage. Adams and Stewart staying close for 3rd overall. 3rd and the OMDHs. Here comes Stewart. Here's the run. On the outside. Deeper on the brakes is Adams.
We'll see if Nate can pull off a better exit here. Sam really sliding there. Nate Stewart doesn't really get the exit he wanted, but he has a little bit of momentum going to the next corner here. But Nate seems to be able to hold a charge against Sam Adams. That's just getting through is the struggle for Nate. But Sam Adams losing a bit of momentum. Going to go defensive here. And Nate Stewart won't make the move yet. As they get through the corner, Sam's struggling for rear grip. Looks like Nate has better rear tires than Sam. Sam was in the dirty air the entire run, got to remember. And as we've seen with the lead car earlier in this race, Nate's really struggled for lead grip once it takes it. So Nate Stewart really putting the pressure on Sam Adams. Will he go for a move here? Yes. Yes, he does. Up the inside. Taking the shorter way around.
Nate Stewart trying to complete the move. Adams trying to send it. Still trying to lick the stamp. Can't. Adams gets shut off. Stewart up to 3rd.
As we've seen with the lead car, it's been really unstable in clean air, but Nate Stewart will get clear as Sam Adams, as the 3 of Flynn Lazier will come through the final corners here and take the white flag.
Expect this to be the checkered, in fact, we'll see here for certain. But for Flynn Lazier, it's been a day. One with lots of ups and downs up at the front. Through the final corners, Flynn Lazier, for the first time this season, looking to come away with the dub. Here in the French countryside, there it is under the flag stand. There's the checkered flag. Flynn Lazier wins in France over Blake Reynolds.
And 3rd position's not quite settled yet. As you see Nate Stewart come out of the final corner. Sam Adams just not quite there. And Nate Stewart will hold off for the podium position. Great drive from him. As you see the leader of your AM class, Brian of Sohn. Great run from him. And the pro class, Youngwall had a little bit of trouble on the restart, but he was able to drive his way back up to the lead. A valiant effort from Ray Kingsbury, but it looks like Youngwall coming through the final corners here, or setting up to come to the final corners, seems to have this win sealed up.
Youngwall has been very stellar throughout the entire season on pace, has been dominant in terms of his mark in this car. For Simply Inspire Kuoka Racing, it's another checker flag for Youngwall, a checker for the 666. It doesn't matter, Youngwall blinks the lights and joy, he wins the pro class for the GTs.
And your final class yet to finish, it is the 03 Sohn. Hasn't really been challenged from his class competitors, but definitely caught a mireful of the 411 all race, or the 441. And through the final corners, and the last part of the chicane, Brian Sohn, I believe, will take the last win.
Take the checker flag with the top 5 overall as well. A solid run for Brian Sohn. Matt Kingsbury picking up damage in the final lap, hence why he lost a spot to the 0-3 after battling with Filya much of the race today. Last, the drivers looking across the stripe. Amongst those, Wayne, Brokaw, Miglin, Greenfield coming from little slowdowns this lap at Ondo. Close things out on the night. Justin Maluo quietly in 7th, finishing 2 minutes on the rest of the field after some late race spins, as the last of the drivers take the lonely drive to the checkered.
Yeah, very lonely drive of a lot of congratulations, and these drivers still have to finish the race. Some are just finishing now, a couple decent distance to go, but as they come out of the final corners, these drivers will complete the race.
Ondo expected to final those drivers. Nicholas and Greenfield taking the checkered flag right there. Could have been for Mafta, was running solid in the top 3 and AM, losing at least 1 spot to Mingwan as a result of incidents. Losing another to Ondo in the closing stages too, as several finish up their races. The last of those drivers coming across the stripe in the next few moments or so to lock and solidify the grid. Overall, 27 entrants today. 21 taking the checker flag. Race results unofficial here for the French countryside. Let's take a look at how things played out today. Starting things off with the prototypes, Malone was here. Blake Reynolds 1-2, 4.1 seconds the difference. A team 1-2-4 for Penguin RC Simulation GTP. The driver who broke up a possible 1-2-3 for their organization was Nate Stewart with Rise Esports in 3rd. Adams in 4th. Ryan Steinhoff quietly holding on to the top 5 after his spin off the restart for DBR Racing. Chris Wetz in the 6th position. Chris Wetz for True North Esports. Justin Maluo in the FTF Drivers Club car in 7th. Christian Youngwall amongst the GTs in 8th overall and coming away with the pro victory. Pulling away from Ray Kingsbury at the end. Lance Nazir on debut, a top 3 in 10th overall, Leon.
Yeah, great debut from him. As we go to a second page of results, Joshua Filya will be in 4th in class. Brian Sohn, your winner from the AM class. Pretty dominant race from him tonight. Will round out in 12th overall. Matt Kingsbury in 13th overall. Kevin Fanning, the 00 of Wang in 15th. Tim Brokaw, 16th. Daniel Miglin in 17th. Trevor Greenfield, Josh Ondo, Marwin Mafta in 20th overall.
21st overall, Gary Freeman. Very happy about the faster pair tonight. One driver who used one was Robert Lowry, having to take the tow and finishing the DNF 5 laps down in 22nd. Then it's Marshbanks, Wilson, Crossgrove, Johnston. The drivers who finished Brandon Lambert in race control tonight. Technically did score a point in the first round after being in the broadcast booth that night, but either way, rounding out the 26 total entrants on track, 27 total cars who make it to the facility. In turn, it's time to get the chance to speak with some of the drivers after what was an exciting round today. Flynn Lazier picking up the victory today. And a little side note when it comes to Flynn Lazier. It just so happens to be in a couple hours' time on the East Coast. Flynn Lazier about to turn 24. How about an early birthday present? It's a victory here in SimCar. How are you feeling winning the French countryside?
Yeah, it was a sweet race. I thought overall just paced ourselves really well, and it was unfortunate Sam hit the wall so quickly. I think he would have been really quick, but Blake was pretty much running the same pace that I was running. So yeah, it was challenging and had a lot of fun. I think that was a lot longer than the race we ran before, so really enjoyed it, and just want to say thanks to Brian and Ray and to everybody who puts the series on. I think it's been great. So yeah.
I mean, it was our first endurance round of the season, so that's why it felt longer. But in turn, though, it seemed like you and Blake several times had spins from the race lead. What happened there in the back and forth of, it seemed like the leader's curse?
Yeah, I think Brian just, I think he just kept getting on to the, he was putting his left side on something that's just really slick, and yeah, the left side of the car just wouldn't take it there. So yeah, unfortunately, I think he spun like 2 or 3 times, but it was all before the safety car, so it didn't hurt him that bad. But yeah, I think cold tires on this car is a lot more difficult than other models, but yeah, great race by everybody, and thank you guys.
Again, thank you. And one quick question. It was mentioned by Blake Reynolds last time. The plan was a part-time schedule this season. When's the next time you plan to race in SimCar?
I hope I can do all the rounds. I'd like to do it as much as I can, as long as I just don't have any schedule conflicts. I'd like to do them all. So I'm going to try to make the rest. If not, hopefully we can still catch a lot of the good ones.
Well, going to be interesting to see how things play out, especially with the 7 rounds. If you can make all 7, 5 remaining after tonight. Congratulations on the victory.
Thanks.
Flynn Lazier picking up the over race win in the OMDH victory tonight. That W by 4.1 seconds over Blake Reynolds. The driver who led the way once again on the GTs was Christian Youngwall. He picks up the win. He gets to talk to Liam Sheen.
Well, Christian, you had a pretty dominant race for the first half and had a little bit of a charge from Ray Kingsbury at the end. Talk to me about the second half of the race.
It started out pretty well, it was pretty to plan, and then we had the safety car planned, obviously. Thought pits went fine, and then right getting onto the back straight, the Mulsanne, I messed up my exit, got myself a tasty little slowdown, and Ray definitely took advantage. He got past, and man, that Beamer on the straight is fast. I was in his draft, and I was almost losing time. So, I mean, I got to say, I think if he didn't make that one little mistake going into the first chicane on the Mulsanne, I think Ray could have had this one. So I'm definitely lucky that he made a big mistake, because he was catching me at the end. I was a little nervous.
Yeah, it was a great drive from you, all Rays. Great drive from him to try to capitalize on a mistake, and you were able to get back through for the win. He didn't quite let you out of his sights. What was the whole mental game there with trying to keep the lead after you saw him make the mistake?
I think once I saw him make the mistake, my first focus was, all right, now I can't do that again, because we just back and forth. So my main thing was to not get a slowdown. So the last couple laps, I was taking it cautious. I was pushing, but I know Ray was going all out. He was basically setting PBs for the last 5 laps, and I was a little more. My car wasn't as stable at nighttime, surprisingly. So I was struggling for sure. So I'm just, like I said the other time, I'm just happy this car survived, because, I mean, going through the Porsche curves, it might not look difficult from the broadcast, but man, is this car hard to get through there. And that's for all the drivers, any car. Man, is it hard.
Well, you come home with the win tonight in your class, in the pro class for GTs. Anyone you would like to shout out for this victory tonight?
Just thanks you guys, broadcasters, Brandon for doing some race control, making sure that safety car went well, and just everyone just being clean and safe for the most part, just enjoying it and having fun.
Well, Christian Youngwall, you take away the race win here tonight, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Then Christian Youngwall picking up the GT Pro victory this evening, doing so over Ray Kingsbury and Lance Nazir. Brian Son yet again picking up the M victory meanwhile. Top 5 overall as well, Brian. Good bounce back as well from the troubles. What happened in those first stints, though, where you spun a couple times and nearly lost the M lead from the spins?
Yeah, the car was a little bit of a handful. If you got a little bit too hard on the brakes or went into the corner a little bit too fast, it really wanted to step the rear out, and it caught me a couple times. The one time with Joshua going off the road, and I was trying to go under him and ended up spinning. I guess I caught the grass. That's what one of my teammates said. They're like, you caught the grass on the inside on that one and looped it around. But yeah, those issues cost me quite a bit. Yeah.
So what did you adjust once we went through the caution period to be able to regroup?
Just told myself to calm down a little and drive it a little bit nicer. Don't be so abrupt on the controls and just feel it out more each lap. And that sort of came to me, except I did get a couple of slowdowns in that last segment. But yeah, it was just a matter of me just kind of just calming down, regrouping, and just driving the car, driving the track, getting everything that it would let me have.
So in turn, solid run tonight, but the next time out, we go back to the Sprint of the Future format. It's the streets of Long Beach, California next on the docket. How are you feeling about racing on a very tight street circuit?
I'm fine with racing on the street circuit. I'm not so fine with how I might do with as far as spinning out and stuff. You know?
So what's it going to take to make sure you aren't the driver spinning around in the midst of the very tight track known for cars landing in the fountain?
I'm going to have to remind myself to drive the track at that track, because that is basically, you drive the track, you will be fast. If you drive the other drivers, you're going to wreck it usually. So it's a track that you really have to drive the track, and you will be moving up through the field because of it.
Well, thank you very much for the time, Brian. Congratulations on the YAM victory this evening.
Thank you very much.
Brian Son coming away with the YAM victory over Tim Brokaw. Daniel Miglin quietly picking up the top 3 in the YAM division as well. Blake Reynolds picked up second of the prototypes, was a part of those going back and forth for the race lead with some of the spins. Had different strategies as well. He's with Liam.
Well, Blake, you come home P2. Looked like you had a shot at the win there in the opening stages of the race. But talk to me about the speed that Flynn had and trying to match it.
He was ripping the whole race. I spun there twice, made a really stupid mistake. I knew that curb existed. I thought the LMDH would be different. I can't tell you how many times in MTech or just practicing in a prototype car, it's low to the ground like that, how clipping that curb in Arnage is just like that. It'll spin like a go-kart if you were to full press the brakes. So kind of silly. I made the mistake twice. I would like to say I learned my lesson, but after the pit stop, I was just trying to run my pace and trying to arc out that corner the best I can. Unfortunately, that curb's there. So spun out, but P2 at the end, and I just got Flynn. He was charging or saving or whatever he was to get that fastest lap on that last lap, but I got it the last 2 laps. I beat him by a 10th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too familiar on the points structure, but yeah, I noticed that you were getting that fast lap at the end of the race. As far as the points in the championship goes, what are you looking forward to in the remaining races?
I like our schedule, man. Of course, this is one of the few Euro tracks. I think this is the only one, actually, now I think about it. But we're a North American kind of based schedule. Next race is up at Long Beach. I'm a big fan of Long Beach. I have buddies my buddy Casey Kerwin loves Long Beach. Maybe I can convince him to come race. Who knows? But it should be a fun show. The last race there was kind of a mess, but it was very fun at the same time. A lot of people wrecked, but they told me they had fun. So hopefully that continues. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, you come home with P2 tonight. Looked like you had a little bit of a challenge from Nate in the middle of the race, but it seems like you kind of got out on your own island. Congratulations on the second, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Liam.
And that is Blake Reynolds, P2. Justin, that seems to settle our post-race.
Yes, indeed. And your final thoughts, Liam, on what we've seen tonight after a lot of spinnies, yes, here in France, but also some dominating performances to boot from our overall winners.
Yeah, I mean, it had a lot more attrition than I expected tonight. I thought drivers would kind of settle out in line, but a lot more position battles than I anticipated going into the race. A lot more driver mistakes. Seemed like no one was immune to it. So, as quick as drivers are, and as quick as people can be, I mean, everyone's susceptible to making mistakes, and you saw it from the likes of Blake, from the likes of Lazier, likes of Nate. Sam Adams, took the lead in early in stages of the race and hit the wall from it. So you saw a lot of attrition, a lot of driver error, but also a lot of talent trying to come back through the field. Sam Adams coming back from the back of the LMDH field, back of the entire field, really. Coming from that mistake from a toe and coming back for fourth, really good drive from him. But yeah, very attrition-filled race, very a lot more racy than I expected it. So great track for these. Shows why Le Mans is such a great track.
Yes, the French countryside indeed can have some fun racing. It can have some fun at all parts of the track, not just where there's a KFC down the Mulsanne Straight. On that note, the next time out for the series is on April the 20th on the streets of Long Beach, California. The fourth round of the campaign with the sprint feature format. See how drivers play things out for the midway portion of the campaign as part of the California swing here on FTF.GG. Until then, it's time to say goodbye. For my broadcast partner tonight, Liam Sheen, for Zach Johnson, I'm Justin Prince saying so long to the rest of your evening. You've been watching the SimCar Penguin RC Simulation Grand Am Series from France. Good night from Europe.